Hello there and welcome again to another video. My name is Jimi Wikman, and on this channel I talk about ways of working and especially then Atlassian. So this is a video before going to Teams 25 in Barcelona. One of my goals for going to Barcelona is to try to figure out where are we going with the strategy collection, because I've spent quite a lot of time digging into the three products that are part of the strategy collection. And I will be honest with you, I don't know what this is. I don't understand it, and I need to understand it. And I'm hoping that when I go to Barcelona and go to all these presentations about the strategy portfolio, the strategy collection, it will make sense to me. Because at the moment I've spent around 40 hours going through Align as part of my accreditation for Align. And the product doesn't make any sense for me because it is a safe product. And I don't know a lot of people that work with safe, and safe is a middle management process that does not go all the way up to C-level. It is a kind of weird way to actually go into strategy, because strategy for me is when you need to have the distinction between CapEx and OpEx. And you need to have portfolio management. You need to have actual time for the resources so you can actually plan. You need to have money there because you need to have your budgets there. And I can't find that. Maybe it hasn't been built yet. Maybe it goes into one of the other apps. But for me, Align is it feels very misaligned with the Atlassian other products or apps as they are referred to now. And Align in itself feels kind of clunky and difficult to work with. And there are certain things that I really, really do not like about it. So for example, in order to actually aggregate time, Align comes with a built-in functionality to translate the three different metrics that you can have. So you can have man weeks, you can have story points, and you can have t-shirt sizes. Now, the reason why you have story points and t-shirt sizes is because you don't want to commit to a time. You just want to say how big and complex they are. And they do not translate well to time because, I don't know if you understand this about the story points especially, and the difference between a 3-point and a 5-point and an 8-point, that's very big scale, because an 8-point is between 5 and 13 points, for example, and a 5 is between 3 and 8. So what you have to do then is you have to align and say that all teams need to have these values the same, which is not how story points actually work, because every team have their own values, their own metrics for what the story point is. That is why they are so completely useless in strategic terms. So when we are forcing them to become time, then they are actually completely useless in terms of functionality. The actual reason why we would use a t-shirt size instead of saying 1500 hours is because we don't want to commit to the time yet, because we haven't detailed it far enough. We just want to say that if it's big and complex, or if it's small and easy. The same thing with story points. The purpose of story points is not to actually give you a time estimate for it. It is actually to tell people, should we actually do this one, or what should we focus on first? And it's completely arbitrary and depends only on the team's perception of things. It has no basis in reality, really. That's why we are not committing to time and instead using story points. So by having this translation, we do not get the value that we probably want, because people that do t-shirts and story points are usually very bad at doing estimations. That's the whole point of using an arbitrary value where you don't commit to time. So if we're now asking them to say that story points need to be an exact measurement of the maximum number of hours that you commit to, then there's no reason to having them anymore. And that seems so weird to me. And it is also something that I think a lot of people that go into Align will have problems with, because you will immediately get kickback from the teams and saying that, no, I don't want to commit that one story point is 8 hours. I don't want to commit that a t-shirt size of extra large is 2,497.17 hours. I want to use them as I have used them before, not committing to time. So that's one thing that I feel is really strange about Align. I'm also struggling a little bit to figure out, because the UI is completely different and it does not fit into the Atlassian platform, at least not yet. So it feels like you are kicked out to another system. It's more like an integration, or it is an integration to a completely different platform, and that seems very strange to me. So I'm hoping that Align will be something else eventually, and that they will build it on the Atlassian platform, as they probably already are. I just need to get that one confirmed, because Align for me is an extremely expensive tool that does not provide much value unless you're actually running safe. And what most teams and most organizations need is a strategic tool that can act as a portfolio, both on the operational and the strategic level, but also on the C level. And it needs to have things like budgets and people and scope. And because that is what we're working with when we are talking about investment projects. When you're talking about continuous deliveries, that's a different thing. That's another tool that you need to have for that one. That's more for the line managers and product managers that needs to keep their budgets under control. And then we have the two other ones. So we have focus on talent. And let's start with talent first, because that makes the least sense for me. At the same time, it makes the most sense. So if you don't know what talent is, it was announced as a resource tool basically for people. And while this is technically true, it is not what people like me that want to have them, that work with investment projects, that needs to keep control of the number of hours people have worked, how much they are allocated in my project, the cost that they come with, and so on. None of that exists within talent. It is a pure HR tool. It will show how many people are employed, where they are, and what kind of connections they have with different activities. And that is not a bad thing. It is just not what I think most people thought of when the presentation was now in April, and when they said that we will now have a human resource tool, or we will have a resource tool for people. And then it turned out to be completely unusable for the reason most people need to have a resource tool, and that is for time allocation, for planning in the portfolio, and so on. So I need to understand, because right now you can't even create users in there, you can only import them from another tool, which is weird. I should be able to import them from anywhere I want, and I should be able to work with them within the tool. So maybe that is on the plate to actually come later on. But for now, it is, for me, a pure HR tool, one that is basically there to show how many employees do we have, where are they employed, who are their managers, and what kind of engagement do they have, but without time for some reason. And then we have focus. Focus has potential. It is basically goals on steroids. So besides having goals, you now have, what do they call them? They're called focus areas. You're basically taking the goals and then you extend it upwards with more hierarchies of goals. You have your focus areas, your sub-focus areas, you have your goals, and so on. So this is, for me, a good tool. It has good visuals also, so you can see it in list view as you do it for goals. But you can also see it in more of a pyramids kind of thing, where you can actually extend based on the different focus areas and the different goals. I like that one from that perspective. But then what am I supposed to do with it? That is a little bit less clear. Because what I would like to have for a focus area, for example, is different progress types. And I would also like to connect people, I would like to connect resources, I would like to see how much money am I spending on this activity and this focus area. And the same thing with goals. I also want to have that one for goals, if we're going to have this one. And I also want to know, where does projects fit into this one? Because projects today, now I'm not talking about year projects, that will be year spaces, but the actual project type then that was released in Atlas side by side with goals. So you had goals and projects, because I don't see projects anywhere. So how does that actually make sense? And speaking of projects, I also would like to know, can I in the future now connect them to strategy and actually having the distinction of a project being internal projects, for example, as an investment project to replace a CRM system? Or is it part of an existing budget? So it's an OPEX, an operational cost. So it's an initiative within one of the products, for example, or one of the services. Because I think this is what we need. And this is what is missing in the Atlassian platform today. We do not have the iron triangle. We don't have the functionality for it. And I don't know if this is because Atlassian still thinks as an agile company, so they are more focused on Scrum, which we know is on its way out because it hasn't worked for 20 years. And we see that companies are continuously struggling because they need to have both the agile way of thinking and they need to have the strict classical way of actually doing projects that are hard to define as investment projects. So what we need are tools that can actually do both without hindering the teams. So I am a little bit confused. I feel a little bit disappointed at this time because I was really hoping that the strategic tools here now in the strategic collection would give the level that I was hoping for. So we have the budgets, we had the time, we had the people, we had the allocations, we had the portfolios, all of those things that you want to have on a strategic level. But it's not there, and at least not yet. So my hopes is that all these concerns, and this is why I'm recording this one before going to Teams, all of these concerns will be completely wiped away when I come back. So I will do a follow-up video and tell you what I learned and what I have experienced when it comes to this one. So I can tell you if I think that this is something that you should invest in, because it's an extremely expensive collection. It starts at, I think, 77,000 USD. And to commit to that one, you need to make sure that you get at least 5 times the value, right? Otherwise, why invest in it? So I need to know, is this good enough? And when will it have the functionality it should have, that I'm thinking it should have? Or is this not what I think it is at all? It's just safe tool with some HR thrown in. Not a bad thing at all. I'm not saying that. But just so I know what I'm expecting, so I don't go and hope for some things that this tool was never meant to be. So this is my rant or my thoughts going to Teams 25. I would love to hear what you are thinking about the strategy collection, and also if you're going to Teams 25, drop a little comment here. I know. Maybe we can meet up somewhere. There are so many meetings happening, so maybe I don't have time for it, but at least you can come by our booth and say hello. And then I will do a follow-up, like I said, and hopefully we will have less confusion then, or I will be less confused. If that is possible, I don't really know. I'm old, so sometimes it doesn't help if I get more information. But I will do my best, at least, to figure out if this is something that I think could be interesting to actually look at later on. So that was all for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will also get some good insights into this one later on. So with this, I just want to say that I hope that you have a great day and an awesome week.